Hi Flosstube friends, my name is Chris. Welcome to my channel. Today is Friday, October 28th, and I am here today to give you a wrap up of my stitching in the month of October. We got a few different things we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some statistics, some whips. I have an FO. I actually have some new starts and a future start and plans and all the stuff. At the end I'll tack on a little bit of a Etsy shop update and my new segment that I'm trying out, Fun Finds on Instagram. So let's get started. So jumping in with statistics, this is a segment I borrowed from my friend Gail. She has a Flosstube channel, which I'll link down below. She changed the name of her channel recently to Wombat Hollow Crafts. I believe that's right, but I'll link her down below. She does a lot of variety of projects, and she also does some diamond painting, which is always fun to see, some different sort of stuff like that. So be sure to check out Gail. She's got some great stuff on her channel. So, and she just recently got a new puppy, so that's very exciting. But anyway, my segment that I borrowed from Gail is statistics for the month. So in the month of October, I had 0 FFOs. I did have 1 FO, or finished object. I worked on 4 of my whips, and I actually had 2 new starts, but we'll talk about those later. So let's jump in with my whips. So if you're new here, welcome. The way I kind of do my stitching each month is I have a primary focus project, a secondary focus project, and then I have weekend projects. And a lot of my stitching, I like it to be random, so I have wheels that I spin. So my primary focus project is always my oldest whip that I have, and it will stay as that primary focus project until it's completed. The secondary focus project, I switch out each month. I spin the wheel and pick a random whip to be my secondary focus project. And those 2 projects I work on Monday to Friday, and it might be 2 or 3 days per piece, just depending on how I'm feeling that week. And then on the weekends, I spin the wheel and pick a random project just to work on for Saturday and Sunday. So my primary focus project right now is a pattern by White Willow Stitching. It's called Behind the Bit. I'm stitching it on an 18 count oatmeal Aida with all of the called for DMC. This is kind of a bad picture of what it will look like when it's finished. So it's a pattern based on a photograph. And here, I think, according to Pattern Keeper, I'm about 55% of the way done. So here is where I am now. So I've got a lot of his face done now, so that was really exciting to actually get to stitch his face. And yeah, I'm just going to keep moving across. Those are the bottom 2 rows of pages. But yeah, he's looking really good. You know, you do see a little bit of the oatmeal fabric between some of the stitches, but when you're standing back from it, you actually really don't notice that. So I'm not gonna stress about it, but I'll be excited to get it finished. It's hard to say how long that's gonna take me to do that, but yeah, I'm just gonna keep plugging away at it, and hopefully I will have him done sooner than later. So my secondary focus project for this month was Shooting Stars, which was a stitch along done by, oh, I can't say their name because I can't pronounce it properly, but it's through the Silk Stitching app. I'll put the name of the design company down here, but it was a stitch along that they did back, I believe, in December. I don't know if it was, yeah, I think 2020, because I started this in January 2021. So I'm stitching this, oh, I'll put a picture here of what it'll look like when it's finished. I'm stitching this on 14 count black Aida with mostly the called for DMC. I think I changed out the orange because it seemed a little bit bright to me. I changed it more to like a burnt orange. And I also elected to add some gold metallic to the gold DMC to give it a little bit of sparkle, which you're probably not going to be able to see so much in the video, but I'll see what I can do. But I will put a picture here of where it was the last time you would have seen it. And then here is where it is now. Yeah, you can't really see the sparkle, but there is some gold metallic. So I can tell from looking at this that this Ada is not evenly woven, because those are supposed to be squares, but they're more like little rectangles, but it doesn't really matter. You won't know that when it's done. But yeah, that's coming along good. So yeah, the month is almost over, but I will probably work on that a couple more days this month, just because it's fun to work on it. So, so now weekend stitches. So a couple of weekends, the project that I finished actually came up. The wheel picked it twice, and I was still happy to keep working on it, so I did. And in fact, I was getting close to a finish that I just kept working on it partway into the next week. But my other weekend project that came up this month was Madame Chantilly's Celebrate Christmas. This is from the tiered tray series that she has. So this is what it will look like when it's finished. I do want to eventually stitch all of them, I think, but they're fairly big. They're bigger than you think they are. But so I'm stitching this on 32 count platinum linen with all of the called for DMC. You'll see when I show mine, like those reds look very red, but they're actually more of a burgundy red. And my fabric, I thought it was the called for fabric, but when I look in the pattern, I can't find a called for fabric. I think I just picked it because this fabric looked like a similar color, but my whites don't stand out quite as nicely as hers do. So in hindsight, if I had to do it again, I would maybe either pick a darker tan or even a light gray, but I think it's okay. So I'll put a picture here of where it would have been the last time that you would have seen it. And then here is where it is now. So I'm almost done that top tier of the tray. There's still a few more sprigs of greenery and a couple of berries and stuff before I move down. But I did decide before I finished off to do the back stitching in the mugs there, just so that was done. But yeah, so that's a really fun stitch. There's nice blocks of color, and her designs are always so whimsical. I just really like things, and I always like her color palettes too. So that is Celebrate Christmas. Okay. So those are technically all of the whips that I worked on. So yeah, one of the whips became a finished object. So that was my Galloping Horses sampler that I've been working on. And again, this is the one that came up 2 weekends this month. So I was able to stitch on it quite a bit. And again, I was getting so close to finishing, I just kept going into the next week. That's Ollie that you can hear. So this pattern is by the City Stitcher. It's in an old copy of Country Stitch, July, August 1990. And I'm stitching it on a 28 count Monaco that I dyed denim blue, and I'm stitching it with B5200. And here, oh, I'll put a picture here of where it was the last time you would have seen it. And here is where it is now. Ta-da! Yeah, so I completed it. So this was actually really fun. It's the first time I've done like a I don't know if you call it monochromatic, but where I only used one color of thread. I've never done that before, and yeah, it is kind of fun and relaxing. Now, unfortunately, it's white, so that kind of is a challenge to make all your stitches look neat. So I know they're not perfect, but they're okay for me. So there are some specialty stitches on this pattern. So you can see up here on this first band, and it's mirrored on the bottom, that is a satin stitch there. And then like the alphabet is just cross stitch, and there's cross stitch below. And then this row, I actually made a mistake because the symbol was the same on the chart, but this is the Montenegrin stitch, which actually was really fun. I really enjoyed that one. Initially I'd done it as cross stitch, so I took it out and redid it. Then these are all cross stitches, and then these are eyelets, I think. I had to do this last time too. I forget what these are called. Let me just quickly look here. Algerian eyelets, yeah. So that's what all of these ones are in here. And then the horses are cross stitched. And then these stitches are queen stitches. So these are all queen stitches, and these are queen stitches. Oh, just a minute. Okay, I'm back. So yes, so we were talking about the queen stitches down here at the bottom. So, so yeah, that's a lot of queen stitches. Like this is considered one stitch here. So this is a group of 4, and then that's a chain of them. And then yeah, down here you can see there's 3, and then 1, 1, and then 2, and then 1, 1. So now Ollie's been trying to lay down in the sun. He stopped scratching as soon as I turned off the video. Now I've turned it on, he'll probably start scratching again. Let's see. So yeah, so I think I counted those, and I think there was like 318 individual queen stitches. So I got, not that I necessarily got good at doing them, but I certainly worked out a way to do them that worked for me. So, but I do think they look kind of cool because they really add quite a bit of texture to it. I can see it. So yeah, so they look kind of cool. So yeah, so that was fun being able to do some different specialty stitches that I'd never done before, and to work with the single color on the denim blue fabric. But yeah, so there's a finish. So now I'll have to look for a frame to fully finish that one. So I kind of decided, because I have had a few finishes this year, that I was going to allow myself a new start. So I spun my wheel because I have some new starts on a wheel, and it came up with Hands-On Designs. This is a new series, or not a new series, this is a series, so it's one I wanted to start, the Year in Chalk, and I decided to start with the October one. But yeah, so there's one for each month. So these are really cute, and they're fairly small. So I'm stitching these on the Weeks Dye Works it's called for Weeks Dye Works Gunmetal. I believe she calls for 30 count. But Traditional Stitches was having troubles getting the 30 count, so we talked about it, and I just decided I'd do it on the 32 count. So it'll just be a little bit smaller. So this is my start. So I've just done one of those little trees up the side. I purchased these with a gift certificate I'd received from my coworkers when I retired, and I did decide to buy the called for Gentle Arts chalk. But yeah, to be honest, it really is just like white. Like there's nothing. So in hindsight, I don't think I would have done that. I would have just used DMC white or whatever. And then I also decided to just pick the colored flosses from my stash instead of buying, you know, the called for ones when there's so little of that color in there. I figured I could use something that I already had, because I do have a little bit of a collection of hand-dyed flosses, or if I didn't have a hand dye that worked, I chose the call for DMC, or the DMC equivalent. And some of them I even changed the colors, but I'll talk about that as I get to those ones, hopefully, eventually. So that was my new start, but when I was picking that, there was another kit that I had purchased a little while ago that I don't know, I just really wanted to start it. So what the heck, I decided to start 2 new things. So the other one I started was a little Dimensions kit, one of their petites. So this is it here. So it's called Quiet Night. And this one was just really calling to me. I just wanted to try it. So so you can see it's on an 18 count navy Aida with the called for kit thread. So I have discovered, so the artist whose work this is based on is Fred Swan. And I realized I have a number of kits with his artwork on. So obviously I really like his artwork. And I actually went looking to see if there's any more, but I couldn't find any more that I didn't already have. But there may be some out there. So if anybody knows of any cross-stitch patterns and or kits featuring the artwork of Fred Swan, let me know. So I didn't get very much done. I just started a little strand of it there. I kind of started these both in one day, and it was a day, I actually discovered our local library had a little stitch day every couple of weeks. Not a day, an afternoon, just for a couple of hours. And they invited anybody that knitted, crocheted, cross-stitched, whatever handcrafts I guess you like to do. So I knew I wanted to take one of these 2 projects. Well, I actually took them both to maybe work on, because they're small and easier to do. But I ended up working on the hands-on design one. So I had just done this much on this one so that I had to start and kind of knew where I was, so that it would make it easier in a situation like that to kind of just carry on with the pattern rather than trying to start it outright in that situation. So those are all of my projects that I worked on this month. I did want to just give you a little teaser. I know I had said a couple of videos ago I wasn't sure if I was going to keep kitting things up to do future starts, because I already had a few sitting there, and that was kind of like weighing on me, thinking, well, I've got all these things already, you know, and the materials and the threads are all tied up in those kits that are waiting to go. So I didn't want to get a huge abundance of things sitting there waiting to be started when I really wasn't doing a whole lot of new starts yet. So so I sort of was going to stop doing that. But I've been thinking about some of my plans for the end of the year and for 2023. So in thinking about that and planning, there's something that has come up that I think I am going to do as a new start. But not until next year. But I thought I would just give you a little teaser to show you that I'm going to use my 36 count. So this is the first time I'll use 36 count. I usually stitch on 32 and or 28. Now I stitch on 18 count Aida, but obviously it's easier to see the holes on Aida than in linen. But so this is my Leo and Roxy fabric that I got when I was at Stitch North. It didn't really have a name, I don't think, at the time, but I think they kind of called it platinum, but I don't know. I don't think they have a platinum or fabric like that called platinum in their shop right now. But so that's the fabric that I'm going to use for this project, and these are the floss colors that I'm going to be using. But yeah, just a little sneak peek because it's all ready to go. I've cut the fabric, I've zigzagged the edges, I've pulled all the threads. But I'm going to save to tell you more about it in a future video. I'm thinking I might even do a separate plans for 2023 video, but we'll sort of see where I get with that. It's still only October, so, but yeah, something to think about. In fact, I'm thinking about making a few Flosstube extras that I might pop in either towards the end of this year or the beginning of next year. So stay tuned for that. So that was my future start. So plans for November, I'm going to carry on as I've been doing. So my primary focus project is going to be behind the bit. I'm going to keep working on that, working towards a finish eventually. I have picked a secondary focus project for the month of November, and it is it's actually a freebie from Waxing Moon Design. So if you are interested, you can just go online and search Waxing Moon Designs freebie. But I'm calling it Winter Bird, and I'll put a picture here of what it'll look like when it's done. It's not the best picture. I don't have a picture because I only have the pattern itself. But this is somebody else's finish that I found online that'll give you at least an idea of what it's going to look like. So Waxing Moon has done a series of these birds. I think I first saw them because somebody had posted in the StitchCon Facebook group back in 2019 that they had stitched one of these as they're small for StitchCon. And I just thought they were really cute, so I went looking. And so there's a series of 4, one for each season. And I kind of have an idea of how I think I might like to finish them, but we'll have to see because it may or may not work. So I just stitched these on a 28 count Monaco that I had on hand, and I did just dye the Monaco myself. So I think the first round when I dyed it, so this is the summer bird. So this is some Monaco that I think I just dyed with like a tan Rit dye. So yeah, so that's the summer bird. It's cute. And this is the autumn bird. Sorry, cat here. This is the autumn bird. And again, that's that same piece of tan dyed Monaco. So those were the first couple that I did. So the next one I did was the spring bird. And so I think this is when I was sort of playing around, experimenting with dyeing. So I think this was sort of like a 2-step dye that I did. Yeah, I know there's no bird on there. This is the piece I'm using for the for the winter bird. So this, I think, started as that same tan Monaco, and then I think I over dyed it with either a more concentrated tan, or I don't know if I added in a bit of the brown that I have, but so it has a bit more modeling compared to, I think it's quite a bit darker. But yeah, so this is the spring bird that I stitched on that one. So yeah, so the winter bird's gonna go in here. So it's a, the difference in the size. It's a focus project for November, so I anticipate I will finish it. I will maybe even finish it before the end of November, and if that happens, then I'll spin my wheel and pick a secondary focus project, which I can share all that with you in the next video. So, and yeah, so then those will be my 2 focus projects, and then I'll spin the wheel on the weekends, and we'll just see where it takes us. And as I said, I'm still working on some plans for 2023, so stay tuned to hear a little bit more about that. But yeah, as far as the stitching goes, I think that is everything that I have to share today. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to comment down below. I'm always happy to carry on the conversation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. But if that's all you're here for, the stitching, I'm just going to do a little sneak peek into my Etsy shop and my little fun find on Instagram. So if you're curious about those, stay around. So yeah, so as far as an update on my Etsy shop, I just thought I would show you, I do have a few Halloween bags left in the shop. I know Halloween's almost here, but if you've started a Halloween project and need a Halloween bag to give it a home, I have a few left up in there. So these are all made with a line of Moda fabrics that kind of all go together. So these are all vinyl front bags. So got the spider webs in there. And the backing fabric is all these bats. And then this one is a bunch of ghosts with just a black and white polka dot. So these aren't anything crazy. They're just sort of low-key, understated Halloween bag. So this one has the pumpkins as the lining fabric and the bats on the back. And I put these sort of little pulls on all of them. So those are the 3 Halloween bags that I have left in the shop. And then I was playing around again with my fabric. So a while ago, I had bought a bundle of fabrics that came in a 10 by 10 square. So I had bought them to make some of the patchwork bags. And I kind of got them just because I really like the colors of the fabric, and that's all the shop had. They didn't have fat quarter bundles or anything like that. So I just thought, oh, I'm gonna get it and play around with it, because I thought I could make some of the coasters, which I did. I think I showed you some of those in the last video. Or I could make some of my little mini quilted bags with them. But I decided I wanted to try making some of the big bags, but obviously if they're only a 10 by 10 square, you know, the big bags are 12 by 13 kind of thing. I had to play around with the pieces a little bit. So that's what I was doing last week. I made a couple bags, but this is one that I have that hasn't sold yet. So that's sort of my standard front, right, with the band at the top and the 2 by 2 squares on the bottom panel there. But you can see up here, because it's not 14 inches wide, which is what I need to start before to allow for seam allowances. They're only 10 inches wide. I had to piece on a little bit at each end, but I tried to use the same fabric square so that it kind of all blended together and matched. But then on the back, I had to get more creative. So I kind of did that larger panel in the middle and then did the bands on each side and the ones in the corner. So yeah, so that's kind of fun. And then the lining fabric is sort of this gold leaf vine type fabric. But yeah, so that's sort of fun. So that was kind of fun, trying to find a way to make that work. So that one's not up in the shop yet. I want to make a mini to match it in case somebody wanted a pair to go together. So I hope to make the mini next week, and then I'll put them both up in the shop. But if one of you is interested and wants that, let me know. My email's down below. So yeah, so then my last segment that I'm doing in place of crafts from the past, because I've run out of crafts from the past, I'm calling it Fun Finds from Instagram. So Instagram's probably the social media platform that I'm on the most. And every now and then I come across something that I think is really fun or really cool. And I thought it would be interesting to share those things with you guys. So the thing that I found this past week, I think it was, when I was sort of scrolling through there one day, I came across this advertisement, really, I guess is what it is. So a lot of you may already be familiar with paisley and polka dots. And I had heard of them before, but this just reminded me, and I thought, oh, I'll share this because there may be some people that haven't heard of them before. So this is a photo that I came across. And if any of you are Priscilla and Chelsea fans, you'll recognize that cross stitch on there. That's one of their patterns that they have released, I think, fairly recently. But you can see how it fits perfectly on that little stand or backer that's shaped kind of like a house decorated for Christmas. So I'm going to put a link to their website so you can go and check out what all they have. They do have a lot of really cool things. So one of the ones I saw was this Santa backer with, again, another Priscilla and Chelsea pattern stitched on there. So I think they do make a lot of these specifically for cross stitch. I think that's one of the sections on their website. So they are obviously made to display something. So you don't have to, you could put a photo, I guess, there if you wanted to as well. And in fact, I think I've even seen one that had like a white erase board on it. So lots of fun things you can do. So that's what it looks like with the stitching on it. But this is what it looks like without the stitching. So there's the backer that you can see without the stitching on it. So I will let you know if you're not familiar with them. You don't buy what you're seeing there in that photo. You are buying all of the pieces to create that. So those come as raw pieces of wood. Some of the kits have the pattern scrapbook paper in them that you decoupage onto the wood. I think other ones you just paint, like the house one that I showed you first. I think that's all just painted. I think it does come with a little greenery to make the little wreath that's hanging on the front of the house type of thing. And I think they make recommendations for what paint colors to use to paint them. But you do have to get crafty to make them. But you can imagine that really keeps the cost down, right? Because you're not paying somebody else to do all of that for you. And if you do like to have that little bit of freedom. I really like the ones with the scrapbook paper. I've done a little bit of that type of thing myself in the past, attaching scrapbook papers to wood and, you know, like sanding the edges or inking the edges and stuff. And it's fun, and I really like the effect of it. So yeah, there's all kinds of fun things on their site. So those were a couple of the Christmas ones. They have more than that. Here's a really cute turkey that they have, so sort of like fall decor. And a lot of their, well, not a lot, but they sort of have a section for tiered trays, because I know that's a big trend right now, decorating a tiered tray for the season. So I think they have several that are that smaller size that they would fit in a tiered tray if that's something you like to do. So yeah, so there's that turkey, which I think is adorable. Or here, I really like this pumpkin with the little crow on it. I think that is so sweet as well. And then they paired that pumpkin, you can see here, with sort of a rectangular panel that has some sunflowers on it. And again, you could just use it as decor in your home, set up a little vignette, you know, on a mantle or a sideboard or something. But the other really cool thing they have is they have this really neat calendar system, like a perpetual calendar. And so that rectangular panel that those sunflowers are on is made specifically to fit in the back of that calendar. And so you can sort of decorate that. And I've seen people, I think, just put their stitching in that little shelf or section, that little cubby of that calendar, you know, and change it out for the season type of thing. So it's really versatile. And I think I've even seen people use that to do like a countdown to something, you know, like to a trip or a wedding or to Christmas or whatever. I'm not sure. I'd have to look again at the details in the notes, but I don't know if there's like other headings you can hang on there, you know, that say days till or something like that. But I do know the last time I looked on the website, I think the calendars were sold out. I think they're a fairly popular item, but I find everything seems to be fairly reasonably priced. I don't know what shipping is like, but yeah, you know, as I say, I'm sure a lot of you, especially if you're Priscilla and Chelsea fans, you've probably heard of Paisley and Polka Dots probably much before I did, because I'm probably late to the party in that respect. But there may be others out there that have not seen any of their stuff, and I think it's pretty cool. So again, I'll put all the information down below if you want to check out their website. I think they might even have a YouTube, so if they do, I'll link that down below as well. I might go and check that out if they do, and just sort of see what they're showing on their channel. So yeah, so that's it for Fun Finds on Instagram. I hope you found a little bit of inspiration in some of the things I was showing you today, and I certainly appreciate everybody stopping by to have a little visit with me and let me talk about my cross stitch and share some of my projects with you, because that's always fun. But yeah, stay tuned, come back next month, see what I complete in the month of October, in the month of November. And then I will start talking a little bit about some of my end of year plans in next month's video. So until then, take care everybody. Bye. Can you drop it? Sit. Sit down. Excuse me. Ollie, can you sit? Good boy. Right? Ollie, bring it to mommy.